Neutral water. Daniel stared out at the bay. His eyes were as gray as the thick fog enveloping the Sausalito shoreline, as the choppy water lapping the pebble beach beneath his feet. There was no violet to his eyes now. He could feel it. She was too far away. He braced himself against the biting gale off the water, but even as he tugged his thick black coat closer, he knew it was no use. Hunting always left him cold. Only one thing could warm him today, and she was out of reach. He missed the way the crown of her head made the perfect resting spot for his lips. He imagined filling the circle of his arms with her body, leaning down to kiss her neck. But it was a good thing Luce couldn't be here now. What she'd see would horrify him. Behind him, the fleet of sea lions flopping in heaps along the south shore of Angel Island sounded the way Daniel felt, jaggedly lonely, with no one around to hear. No one except Cam. He was crouched in front of Daniel, tying a rusty anchor around the bulging, wet figure at their feet. Even engaged in something so sinister, Cam looked good. His green eyes had a sparkle, his black hair was cut short. It was the truth. It always brought a brighter glow to the angels' cheeks, a shinier sheen to their hair, an even sharper cut to their flawless bodies. Truth days were to angels what beach vacations were to humans. So even though Daniel ached inside each time he was forced to end a human life, to anyone else, he looked like a guy coming back from a week in Hawaii, relaxed, rested, tanned. Tying one of his intricate knots, Cam said, "Typical Daniel, always stepping aside and leaving me to do the dirty work." "What are you talking about? I'm the one who finished him." Daniel looked down at the dead man, at the wiry gray hair matted to his forehead, at the gnarled hands and cheeks rubber galoshes, at the dark red hair across his chest. It made him feel cold all over again. If the killing weren't necessary to ensure Luce's safety, to save her, Daniel would never raise another weapon, never fight another fight. And something about killing this man did not feel quite right. In fact, Daniel had a vague, troubling sense that something was profoundly wrong. Finishing them is the fun part. Cam looped the rope around the man's chest and tightened it under his arm. The dirty work is sending them off to sea. Daniel still gripped the bloody tree branch in his hand. Cam had snickered at the choice, but it never mattered to Daniel what he used. He could kill with anything. "Hurry up," he growled, sickened by the pleasure Cam took in human bloodshed. "You're wasting time, the tide's going out. And unless we do this my way, high tide tomorrow will wash Slayer here right back ashore. You're too impulsive, Daniel. Always were. Don't you ever think more than one step ahead?" Daniel crossed his arms and looked back out at the white crest of the waves. A tourist catamaran from San Francisco was gliding toward them. Once, the vision of that boat might have brought back a flood of memories. 1,000 happy trips he'd taken with Luce across 1,000 lifetime seas. But now that she could die and not come back, in this lifetime when everything was different and there would be no more reincarnation, Daniel was always too aware how blank her memory was. This was the last shot for both of them, for everyone really. So it was Luce's memory, not Daniel's, that mattered. And so many shocking truths would have to be brought to the surface if she were going to survive. The thought of what she had to learn made his whole body tense up. If Pam thought Daniel wasn't thinking of the next step, he was wrong. You know there's only one reason I'm still here, Daniel said. We need to talk about her. Pam laughed. I was. With a grunt, he hoisted the sobbing corpse up over his shoulder. The dead man's navy suit bunched up around the lines of rope Pam had tied. The heavy anchor rested on his bloody chest. This one's a little bristly, isn't he? Pam asked. I'm almost insulted the elders would send a more challenging hitman. Then, as if he were an Olympic shot putter, Pam bent his knee, spun around 3 times to wind up, and launched the dead man out across the water, 100 feet into the air. For a few long seconds, the corpse sailed over the bay. Then the weight of the anchor dragged it down, down, down. It flashed grandly into the deep aquamarine water and sank instantly, out of sight. Pam wiped his hands. I think I've just set a record. You take human death too lightly, Daniel said. This guy deserves it, Pam said. You really don't see the sport in all of this? That was when Daniel got in his face and spat. She is not a game to me. And that is exactly why you will lose. Daniel grabbed Pam by the collar of his trench coat. He considered tossing him in the water the same way Pam had just tossed the predator. A cloud drifted past the sun. The shadow darkened their faces. Easy, Pam said, prying Daniel's hands away. You have plenty of enemies, Daniel, but right now I'm not one of them. Remember, the truth. Some truth, Daniel said. 18 days of others trying to kill her. 18 days of you and me taking them off, Pam corrected. It was angelic tradition for a truth to last 18 days. In heaven, 18 was the luckiest, most divine number, a life-affirming tally of 2 sevens, the archangels and the cardinal virtues, balanced with the warning of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. In some mortal languages, 18 had come to mean life itself, though in this case, Labute, it could just as easily mean death. Pam was right. As the news of Liz's mortality trickled down to celestial ears, the ranks of her enemies would double and redouble each day. Miss Sophia and her cohort were still after Liz. Daniel glimpsed the elders in the shadows cast by the announcers just that morning. He had glimpsed something else, too. Another darkness, a deeper cunning, one he hadn't recognized at first. A shaft of sunlight punctured the clouds, and something gleamed in a corner of Daniel's vision. He turned and knelt down to find a single arrow planted in the sand. It was slimmer than a normal arrow, a dull silver color, laced with swirling empty design. It was warm to touch. Daniel's breath caught in his throat. It had been a shot. His fingers quaked as he drew it from the sand, careful to avoid its deadly blunt end. Now Daniel knew where that other darkness had come from in this morning's announcement. The news was even grimmer as he cheered. He turned to Pam, the feather light arrow balanced in his hand. The predator, he said. He wasn't acting alone. Thank you. Thank you, Lauren. This is a beautiful reading.